Tony, you mentioned who's this series mean more to. I think it means like just about equal to both as far as championship aspirations, which both of these two teams should have.
We're going to take a peek right now at the series layout. And Tony, big rivalry here. And I think there is a lot to be said for which maps and modes come up. How do you feel about the series layout overall?
Well, I mean, number one, right off the rip, we're playing on live fire, and consistently Optic have been one of the best live fire, the best live fire team in the entire league. Obviously, we talk about it constantly. Quadrant 16-0 in Stronghold. That's what's coming up in our game number 3. But most importantly to me is capture the flag on Aquarius. It wasn't too long ago where Optic were literally up 2 flag caps on Quadrant, and within 40 seconds worth of gameplay, they were able to cap those 2, force the overtime, and then eventually beat them out on this very game type and map combination. This is one that both teams really like to see, and both teams are going to leave it all on the line. This game 4 might just decide who wins the series.
When I look at the series layout, or when I watch these two teams, it does matter what map mode combinations come up in the series layout. Optic will be heavily favored in games 1 and 2. I think that they have traditionally won the Slayers against Quadrant. They are 5-3 overall. But that game 3, that Strongholds recharge, if Optic is up 2-0, this series is not over, especially, like you're saying, the historic Aquarius CTF that it feels like Quadrant always feel a way to beat Optic in. We could very well see a reverse sweep from Quadrant if they're able to keep themselves alive with their backbone of Strongholds recharge in that game 3, even if they're down 0-2.
Talking about the backbone, Strongholds, we have some stats against 2 of our top slayers for the teams. Lqgend versus Lucid, a head-to-head between each other in Strongholds in particular. And Lqgend is taking, obviously, the lead in that one. And that's not surprising, I think, in terms of the way that Quadrant play Strongholds. And they really have such a flexible, Lucid, excuse the pun, way of playing Strongholds. And it's so difficult to stop.
Well, the big thing that sticks out to me when I look at this graphic is 1.73, 1.00. But look at the damage. Lucid has more damage. That tells you Quadrant, when they get their kills in Strongholds, they are the most efficient team in the league. That is why they are dominant. They don't have to put up the same amount of damage to get their kills in the game because they put you in a trip cap and they do not look back.
And the crazy thing about Quadrant, I feel like they pick and choose their battles so well. When it comes to them holding a 2 cap, if you go in for one of their primary caps, they might headbutt you, they might fight for it, or they might just out-rotate you. That might lend to the damage differential. They're not always having to fight you head on. They find creative ways to win on Strongholds, and maybe why they're the best Strongholds team in the league.
Yeah, I gotta say, there's a lot of teams doing a lot of homework on Quadrant and their Strongholds because it is, I mean, it's unheard of, almost. I mean, I cannot believe they haven't dropped one.
There hasn't been a team as dominant as far as 16-0 in one map mode combo since probably the final boss Halo 2 days.
I mean, just unbelievable. We do have some really exciting stats on the board for you as well. Our 2023 game mode records ranked by win percentage here. And as you can see, Strongholds, Quadrant, 16-0. There's the stats to back it up, what we're saying.
That's incredible.
Optic Gaming, Oddball, 14-2, only losing 2 oddball maps and games. That is insane. I think that is just as impressive as the 16-0, to be frank, in Oddball. That's insane.
That just tells you what these guys are good at, they are the best at. And when you see those map modes coming up in these series layouts, you can almost chalk it up as a win because they are so good at it and consistently so good at it. They are masters of their craft, and these two teams are just so consistently good at what they're good at, which is why when they match up, they typically go the distance.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive to say the least. I think, you know, our 2 teams here in at least 2 of our top 4 of all 4 game modes that we have. It just shows how impressive these rosters truly are. Are you seeing anything else when you're looking at some of these stats here, Tony?
I mean, it's pretty simple. Quadrant want to up the tempo. They want to muddy up the game. Optic want to play defensively. They want to lure you into a trap. It's one of the reasons why we love watching Optic and Quadrant go up against each other is because of the difference in play style, and every game type kind of lends to that. Obviously, Optic want to see that King of the Hill. They want to see Oddball. May not exactly happen in the series, and obviously Quadrant want to see Strongholds. One of the reasons why this is such an exciting matchup is because their play styles are so different.
Do you know what I want to see, Tony?
What's that?
This series playing out right now on the main stage. It is ready to go. We're heading on over to our casters. We got Onset and Bravo on the mics. Boys, take this one home for the end of the night.
Thank you so much, Lottie, and aren't we a couple of lucky boys to get ourselves up here in the casters booth for what is certainly one of the most entertaining matchups we have in the Halo Championship Series at the moment. It's the green wall versus the green shirts. It's Quadrant versus Optic, and Andy, I can't wait for this one.
Cannot wait. And as we said earlier, this is one of the best rivalries undoubtedly in modern Halo, and honestly an unexpected rivalry, right? You would not have thought 1 year ago that these two teams would be in the rivalry that they are. However, essentially with these two rosters tied 2-2 in the year, this will be the go-ahead series.
Yeah, and I think the desk has set this up beautifully. We've heard so many stories and what it means to both teams, but when we really distill it down, it is very similar for both, right?
Yeah.
Optic looking to regain that upward trajectory, looking to find form ahead of the Halo World Championships, and Quadrant looking to go one step further before the Halo World Championships, looking to prove they can get into that final and maybe even win the thing. The series layout, though, for me, is fascinating. We've seen some of the stats, and Tony was talking about it, right? The front end of the series, Wes said, was Optic heavy, you would say, favorable. But then when you get to the end, like Tony was saying, you're looking at that CTF Aquarius after, of course, Strongholds, the 16-0 game type for Quadrant. This could be going to a game 5. We're going to have to see how this one goes, but this is the main event of the evening, everybody. It's Optic versus Quadrant. It's time to get this one underway.
Cannot wait here. What a better way to get into our final series of the evening here. As you said, King of the Hill on Live Fire, game number 1. As we saw, it's a 2-game lead in terms of overall record to Optic Gaming in King of the Hill in this specific matchup. Can they continue on and maintain that? We're getting into gameplay right now. Here we go. Optic Gaming versus Quadrant.
The final match of the evening here on the Alpha stream, and certainly one that you don't want to miss. Starting off from the point of view of Lucid, understandably, and always interesting to see what the opening strategy is going to be for both sides. SLG with a nice couple of kills off the break here is going to give Quadrant a little bit of freedom on the map here. They've already got a little bit of hill time. They also have control of tower and snipe, so Overshield, which of course pops just a few moments after this game starts, they're going to be in a great position for that as well.
Yeah, first 2 kills go their way as well. SLG, just as you said, patrolling. TchiK will get the Overshield uncontested based off of the opening kills that do come in as well. Look at the kills on the board now. It's already 6-0.
Look at SLG!
7-0 in terms of the slays!
SLG just got a triple on the tower. He took on Optic almost single-handedly and came out of it. Still with his life, still with a sniper rifle. And I tell you what, Quadrant are ready for this event, Andy. They have been out here early. They have been scrimming the best in the world, and this event for them is a special one.
Optic Gaming has been outslayed 11-1 in the opening of this game. That first point will undoubtedly go Quadrant in one of the fastest fashions we've seen on the first hill in King of the Hill Live Fire. They will score. They lead 11-1 in kills, 1-0 on the board.
Quadrant mean business here. And Optic are going to have to really be on their game here if they want to be in a position to challenge Quadrant. I mentioned this is a special event for them. Last event, they were saying they weren't too worried about that result because they weren't as prepared as they have been previously. But this one, they've put the time in, the preparation. This is where they want to make their run and find the form they want to find at the end of the season.
Let's see what Optic can do here. They need to dig deep. Should be working together with Lucid back in Mud to make sure they get a much-needed kill and a much-needed bit of control for just a second.
I mean, look at the stats at the moment. APG and Formal haven't got on the scoreboard yet, haven't found a kill. It's been TriPPPeY and Lucid who've been doing the heavy lifting. Finally, APG is going to get his first. Quadrant find themselves 2 dead though, so do Optic. The fight for the Overshield taking place. The flank from Lqgend is going to allow SLG to get the second Overshield of the game here for Quadrant.
What can he do here? Essentially tied up on this second hill. SLG's going to jump in and knows that he shouldn't stay there. Needs to make sure he's using this Overshield to his advantage and not just tanking damage. He sees a lot of targets on the Nest side. And still has a little bit of Overshield to play with as well. 2 shots onto every player from Optic though. What does that mean? Optic can't push. He's also got 3 repulses to play with. 2 left now, 1 left. And now he has to turn his attention back towards that hill. APG survives just for a second, but Sica clears out that tower. And now Quadrant, having picked up the damage, picked up the kills, stand inside of that hill. They are 2/3 of the way here to going 2-0 up in this first game, which we were talking about, and statistics were backing to be an Optic game type. Should be an Optic game type in terms of winning record. It's stopped, though, at the doorstep. 2 dead for Quadrant. Can Optic be the heartbreak hits here on the second hill? That's the question. They've got a long way to go. Sica gets taken down. Formal's finally starting to find a little bit of a flow in this game. Sniper rifle coming up as well. Maybe Matthew Piper is going to change the game for Optic with a couple of bullets coming out of that S7. For now, though, Lqgend is going to be the first victim. The beatdown hitting. Quadrant find themselves 2 dead, and map control here for Optic. Look at this, and like we said, what very quickly was about to be a 2-0. I mean, look at that scoreboard. Could
could be an Optic Gaming steal here, especially if Formal keeps hitting these shots.
His body and everything at the moment. Lucid picks up one, TriPPPeY gets two. Quadrant find themselves 3 dead. TchiK's last alive. And Optic, who really didn't feel like they were even on the map for the first couple of minutes of this game. Well, they are now, and they're about to steal this hill away.
1-1 here on the board. And like we said, an opportunity to be the Heartbreak Kids. That's exactly what they did. And you have to think that's going to take a lot of the wind out of the sails of Quadrant, looking so good in your opening 2 minutes of gameplay.
Triple kill from SLG, though. Once again, just at the right time, Norman steps up for Quadrant. 3 kills to his name. Heatwave in their hands, and that will be another overshield as well of all of Optic as spawning over at green. TriPPPeY has no idea that SLG is behind him. It's a free kill for him. Overshield is in the hands of TchiK, and APG trying to work and stay alive here at the back of green, but all this time again going to Quadrant.
Tell you what, here late on Saturday evening, as we see Quadrant picking up the hype, picking up the energy and the points on the board, I think it's time for some drench. Let's get into a listening with Quadrant.
Watch it dans la lane, watch it.
Non, ça va arriver depuis, ça va arriver
par là aussi, attention. Y'a un mec, ouais, à droite, derrière le one. Derrière le one shot, c'est formal, avec un répulseur.
Ok,
Victor, oui. Ouais. Encore,
Wait,
vite sur moi.
One shot,
One shot Victor.
One shot
Nice.
Green, il va plat, je te le comme, il va plat.
Il est descam.
Là, il va dans A. Il va dans A maintenant.
Ouais, il te cherche. Tu se mets Victor. Derrière ça aussi, wall sur toi. Joue-le maintenant, on arrive pas Victor.
Il est window Lucid, window Lucid et un d'Alover.
Il est one shot. Il y a un snake qui va tuer encore de plat. Il arrive dans le coin, il est dans le coin. Dans le coin toujours.
Il est ouf, hein.
Mettez où il est cut. Vous isolez pas devant vos push.
Je peux pas.
D'accord,
La mine qui m'a tué type. Il va Big Door AP.
Je tape.
Il attend deep encore.
Tiens-moi sur avec plat.
Il y a un mec tué,
Mort sur un
minimum. One shot plat. One shot tapin dans la veine.
Y'a un mec Fenning qui va arriver par le plat.
Block, oui.
Ça va arriver par le plat.
Qui dort,
My French is continuing to get better the more and more that I listen to these Quadrant comms, but once again, Optic giving as good as they get on this hill. It's a strong start, but they'll be hoping Quadrant they can stop the same story happening. Lucid being a nuisance inside that hill. Lucid still alive! Oh! Just in time for Formal to keep him in the game.
Wow, it's giving early Halo Infinite vibes there. Unbelievable effort there from Lucid to somehow stay alive on the pillar just long enough for the sandbag help to come in. However, 2 dead off the back of that. And finally, Quadrant will get that second hill. Optic Gaming making it look interesting. However, now a 2-1 lead for Quadrant.
Now, this is a big call, and you'll understand why in just a few seconds. If Quadrant or Optic win this next fight, then this could be a 3-1 lead. It's going to be Formal with the repulse, but SLG's got one himself. They have the overshield. They have things locked down here, Quadrant. We talk about this being the money hill. It's so hard to break, especially if SLG is stood inside of that objective with an overshield.
See what we can do here. As I said, tanking damage. Sandbags, key door, and window right now.
But no fair.
Handling himself so well on the killing spree. Finally, he's taken down by APG from back tower. But look at the progress from Quadrant here. 3 dead again. And look at this, only about 20% away from closing out the 3rd hill.
No poke, Lucid. He does poke, and he almost poked the bear there as Lqgend. Gives a couple of warning shots. Sica's going to clean that one up. And I tell you what, Quadrant, they let one hill slip away, but they're up 3-1 now. 1 more hill to go. 2 minutes 50 left on the clock.
Let's not forget, as we said, Optic Gaming within this matchup had the winning record in this game type. Quadrant now 1 hill away from changing that here and taking a game type that Optic thought would have been theirs.
And it's SLG. 19-9 for Norman at the moment. Lqgend trying to clean up on Lucid. Does so even though he gets repulsed. Hits the body and almost cleans up Formal as well, but Formal slows things down. Quadrant trying to force themselves on this hill at the moment. TriPPPeY inside of it. SLG doesn't want that to happen, but nor does TriPPPeY.
TriPPPeY with a very, very important 1v1 win there. The grenade actually stays just short, kind of got stuck on the skip. Didn't exactly hit TriPPPeY on the cut side. That's a big deal here because it leads to 3 dead for Quadrant. Lqgend was your only player alive for a moment. TriPPPeY gonna try to stay alive as long as he can. Lqgend helps out with the team shot, which is the big opening battle.
Look how much time is left in this game, though. That's how conclusive these hills have been. It's been 1 or 2 holds on either side. Which means that we still have a long way to go if Optic can get back into this game. If they win this next hill, Overshield coming up again, and it certainly has heavily favored the Quadrant pickup so far in this game, which has assisted them in their way to this 3-1 lead. Why Lqgend doesn't want to leave this side of the map at the moment. He might be able to clean up a few kills, but he wants an Overshield going to his teammates. APG's trying to stop that himself, but SLG falling means that Lqgend comes back for APG and wins that 1v1.
Very, very interesting play there. APG maybe hoping Lqgend looked away, but Lqgend gets the last laugh. Formal will nade out Lqgend. Take a look where this Overshield goes. It's still down. TchiK's going to be the one to grab.
TchiK gets the grab. And TchiK moves towards that hill. Sica's going to be there, picking up a little bit of time. The beatdown comes in as well. It's 3 dead for Optic. And it might be game 1 here, going over to Quadrant in just a few moments' time.
4 dead. Lucid was the only player on concrete. He's going to have to try to fly out with Formal if he can. This is the last-ditch effort. No! Quadrant will take game number 1 in the series in a 4-1 fashion on King of the Hill Live Fire.
And I think if you look at that picture on the left-hand side of your screen of SLG with a finger to his mouth, he's probably looking at the stats and he's saying, hey, King of the Hill, we put some work in. And it's showing in that performance as well. That was a dominant win from Quadrant. They look terrifying.
They really do here. 66-50 is your slaying total. To be outslayed by 16 in a game that was that short, it's quite a statement. SLG 23 kills on the board, only 13 deaths with 11 assists. He leads the team in each category.
Overshield pickups heavily favoring Quadrant as well. I think it was only 1 that slipped through their fingers, if I wasn't mistaken. And they put it to use as well. Looking at the damage, no surprise to see SLG, the only player breaking 5k and 5.3, nearly 5.4k damage coming in from SLG. The next closest in the lobby, I think might have been TriPPPeY or Lucid there at the top for Optic, but it really wasn't close.
Really wasn't. Look at each time that we're going to cut to these highlights from the game. So often, Quadrant had the perfect man advantage where they're catching people off guard time in and time out. But I have to agree, Mark, like Overshield control just paved the way for Quadrant to continue slaying again.
Sica with this win inside of the hill. Sorry, excuse me. Sica trying to clear Lucid out of the hill here, but it felt like whenever there was a moment where there was something good that happened for Optic, it got shut down immediately. Quadrant's so good at getting those trades. And then TchiK with his overshield towards the end of the game just had the simple task of standing inside of that hill, waiting for his teammates to help him out. 4-1 the win, and I think the real pivotal moment in that was the bounce back after losing that second hill from Quadrant, where Optic stole it away. They then locked down the garage hill, they locked down the overshield hill, and from there, Optic are just playing catch up.
You did get the feeling after that second hill that, are we going to see a little bit of a glimmer of the Quadrant past, right? You think of European early leads in series being dashed very quickly. However, I couldn't agree more. Quadrant bouncing back both in-game and also mentally with the resilience after the game being tied up in a little bit of a devastating fashion says a lot about where they are as a team. 4-1 is your final score as we head to Slayer Streets. As Clutch mentioned on the desk, Optic Gaming 5-3 overall in Slayers over Quadrant this year so far. We'll have to see if Quadrant can also turn that around in our game 2 as well.
Yeah, I mean, this next game, Optic will know how important this is more than anyone, because then we go to Live Fire's Strongholds, and, well, 16-0 speaks for itself. They know they're going to have a tough battle to take that game away, and if they lose this one, it could be a 3-0. So Optic will know what is riding on this next game that we're going to see in front of us. It's Street Slayer, and I'm interested to see what pace this game is played at as well, because we know that Quadrant always like to press advantages. They always like to try and keep their opponents. If they get a kill, they want to keep them at 3 alive for the next 60 seconds or so. Consistently rotating, make sure that they put those numbers in good positions to at least trade out kills. And I tell you what, Optic, they let a lot of overshield slip through their fingers in that last game. They cannot let the Rockets do the same.
Absolutely cannot. What can Optic Gaming do here to make sure they stay in this series? That's the question. On the other side of the stage, though, Quadrant, they've already got their sights set on what could be a 2-0 lead following this Slayer, and what a statement it would be. Slayer Streets 50 kills to win, 12 minutes on the clock. We're getting to the game now. Here we go. Game number 2.
Well, EU certainly turning up today. Na'Vi kind of paving the way with that big 3-0 win over Cloud9, but Quadrant in a class of their own in Europe at the moment. Looking to see if they can take down Optic Gaming once again. TchiK gets those rockets off the break. No kills been picked up on either side until TriPPPeY gets taken down with that battle rifle.
Free grab here from Quadrant. Very easily done. Also, gotta love that Quadrant rocket launcher. As TchiK looks for his next victim with it. Oh my God.
He just knew that the PD spawns were coming in. He's going to pick up 2 kills as well as the damage is done, and Optic find themselves down 4-1.
5-1 now. Tram spawns coming in, and information as well. Lucid, though, does very well to make sure to win that battle on Neons, keep things close.
I just forgot about Lucid for a second there. He managed to stay alive and kind of evade the call-outs and the comms that came in, but look at that team fire. Look at the reaction from Lucid as well. He's like, how did I just die that quickly?
You have to think, if that spike didn't catch the wall, it might have been a very different story. However, it's just Lqgend with 2 shots coming in from the deep tram, and SLG's ready for the cutoff there. Fantastic comms and screen watching undoubtedly coming in. That will lead now to a 10-7 lead for Quadrant off the opening.
Still close though, 3 kills the difference between the 2 teams. Slow start for Formal, much like we saw in match number 1 as well. 0 and 3 for him, but Street Slayer, I would say, is the game type that is probably most famous for some of the plays we've seen throughout Halo Infinite from Formal. There is that first kill for him, just to get him off the mark. 11 to 8 the score. All of Quadrant now flooding through that arcade, looking to shoot across map and do a little bit of damage to him. But for now, that lead will stay at 2. But Optic starting to just chip away at it.
A lot of info coming in there. Formal right now might get flanked out here. I was going to say SLG coming up the Neons. They left the Neons exposed there, which actually let SLG come up through. Formal was holding it for quite a while, but eventually it will break.
Rockets are coming up in 10 seconds as well. Quadrant find themselves 2 dead, so map control should be Optics here, and they should be in the prime position to pick them up. Only thing they have to be a little bit wary of is players coming off the respawn here for Quadrant, having those extra grenades, being able to do that damage, but TriPPPeY being pushed up here should clear the way for someone else to move in.
Tied at 13 now. Next kill does go to Quadrant here. You could just tell these two teams playing this a little bit cautious. Spike does not go all the way.
Stalker Rifle can change the game though. There's the beatdown coming in from TchiK. He's got to turn his attention back to those rockets. Lucid is there. He's poking and prodding. Can he get the shot off? Yes, he can. And before he even goes down, SLG is there for the help. Rockets burn by Quadrant. They keep that 2-kill advantage.
What a set of plays there. Just like that, it's now a 1-kill game. You have the feeling this one's going to be a tight one all the way through here as it's 19 to 18. And it has been absolutely back and forth. Optic making sure to keep this game very close as they do not want to fall 2-0 in the series.
Keep in mind as well, this is a close game, a 1-kill game with 2 sets of rockets going to Quadrant as well. A couple of kills do get picked up though by Quadrant, just to extend that lead for a few more in their favor. 9 minutes left on the game clock as well. APG trying to do what he can for Optic in this game. He's 7 and 4 at the moment. He's leading the way and takes down Lqgend as well, which I tell you what is a pretty tough task.
APG with beautiful shots, that's what you expect from him. Now he's just desperately trying to get back into the action as the other spawns come in. That'll be another kill here, just like that. It's a 1-kill game, 22-21.
APG trying to source out where those spawns are coming in as well, and I think he sniffed it out. I think Optic have the information that PD is the place to try and push here. One trade comes in, SLG comes in and gets a double though, to make sure those numbers are equal. SLG looking for a triple as well. Lucid trying to survive. Can he land the grenade though? Lucid is being an absolute nuisance. On a no shield, stays alive once more. That's the second time in this game we've seen Lucid survive in a situation that maybe he shouldn't have. And it's turned into an Optic swing.
Wow, good APG, Lucid double team there. We have 25 to 25. As we said, we could not ask for these two teams to be any closer at the midpoint. Let's get to a list then here with Optic Game.
Bring the back. I can back. Watch your back.
I got it.
Watch out, real. Look at
Purple somewhere.
ATM, Matt. ATM. Going, he's just sitting ATM. Just sitting ATM. Hold ATM, Matt. You can see this guy. You guys mid. Coach. Just turn around, Joey. Turn around. Behind you.
They have numbers right now, guys.
One shot green.
Looking right. One is out marker right now.
Watching your left real quick.
Cut.
One guy. Already IV guys. Already IV.
I can look mid. I can look mid.
They have numbers, guys.
Cut.
Two dead.
Okay,
I'm weak.
Subside.
Real behind.
We got a class.
Chase me, guys.
He's got
Two
one.
there.
It's one shot.
I can't kill
here.
Driveway.
They're giving claps on sub probably.
Cuts. Drive with weapons going back.
One shot. It's one shot here.
Absolute
One shot back sub.
Absolute.
There should be guy cuts. Yes.
I'm in man.
You're good, Brett.
And might need help.
One look rail.
Real.
That's one sub. It's one sub.
Already down purple, guys. Weak.
I need help purple.
Watching.
One shot Lqgend.
Nice, guys.
Real. We have real.
He went tires, Matt. Yo, two guys are Matt.
Pirates weak.
I'm at market.
Yeah, they have damage on market.
You can play with the rest of it, Brett.
Yeah, I have stalker. I have someone here.
Flowers half, sir.
Watch it come
I'm
back.
walking up tires, guys. I'm walking tires.
I need to tell me, be careful on it.
Here. These guys are backed up. They're really backed up, Brett. One shot.
I'm absolute.
PD.
Red push
He's
He's still on.
Still one shot.
Blue gen.
I can't tell me.
Stalker's down caution.
Where are you going?
Two mid. One bulldog.
Bulldog. One shot on Bulldog. One shot on
one on
Bulldog.
blue gen too.
Two weak there.
Laundry, guys. Laundry.
Stalker's on spawn.
Got by 3 years.
We jumped into the listening there as we saw the rockets coming up. Formal couldn't put them to use. The rockets are back on the map in a few more seconds' time, and Optic now find themselves still chasing this game. Lqgend made a really big play on Catbait there to take down APG, because it's not just taking the kill, it's not just picking up one for the score, it was Stalker Rifle and Bulldog turnover as well.
Yeah, saving the teammate there. 38-36 now. Game, of course, still just as close as when we left it. You have to think if APG had one more Bulldog shot there at PD, it could be a very different game at this stage now, make it a one-kill game.
I was about to say, I think the Rockets were down. SLG went for them, and Lucid picked up that kill, and now he has the Rockets, and it's all tied up here. Sica should be taken down, you would imagine, but he gets a kill. There's a flank coming in. Sica gets two somehow, and all of a sudden, even though the Rockets went in the favor of Optic Gaming, Quadrant and Sica somehow come out of that the better.
You see Lucid throw his head back there. He did not want to trade there. SLG somehow gets the trade in Cafe as well, which continues a 2-kill lead. Threat Seeker does give a little bit of info. They will see Lucid there. That's going to give Sica just an inch to move up, and the first kill as well. It's a killing spree for Sica. Here comes the push.
I mean, what a time to get a killing spree as well. Sica getting out of a situation he had no right to, and now he's hurting Optic. Now he is punishing Optic. He turns the Stalker back over, and Quadrant move within 4 now of going up 2-0.
And all of that from the Threat Seeker as Sica throws it into the back of the base. Picks up another one as well. 48-41 here in favor of Quadrant.
This is the Sica show right now. 2 more to go. Bulldog in his hand, you would imagine it's a guaranteed trade. Lucid pokes around the corner. No ammo to work with, but here comes Legend. They fly in. And Quadrant showing the late game composure we see from some of the best in the world. Put themselves 2-0 up with their favorite game type, their baby Stronghold just around the corner.
They don't call him the Threat Seeker for nothing. Pops it into the back of Tram, gives him all the info he needs to isolate the first battle. And by the time he gets into Tram, he throws his fangs deep into the back of that base, sets up camp, waits for the help to come in, and they close out the game 50-41, ending the game with the largest lead that they had throughout its entirety. What a late game run coming in from Quadrant.
Well, we always talk about the butterfly effect for play, right? Lucid gets the Rockets, walks down the middle of the map, sees Sica half shields, thinks he can clean him up, then doesn't. Sica survives. What happens after that? Sica goes on that killing spree. I think he ended up 7 in a row without being taken down, and that was the difference between the two teams. Maybe there's a little bit of miscommunication. Maybe it was the call of his one-shot instead of half shields, because I'm pretty sure if Lucid could have that play back, he would use the Rockets' guarantee the kill.
Definitely. Take a look at some highlights from this one, and this is the final move we're talking about. That's the killing spree. He already knows Lucid is back base. He comes flying in with the Bulldog, and really, this is just the beginning of the end.
Couple of pumps there, 4 more. He gets 3 more. Red Gun gets turned over, and I'm pretty sure off the back of that, Sica picked up even more damage. Lucid, though,
with timing here.
Tried to survive, but Legend and Sica, they've been playing twos for quite some time, and let me tell you, they know how each other work. The flank timing was perfect, the pitch was perfect, and Quadrant find themselves on the brink of sweeping Optic Gaming aside 3-0 here in Pulse.
There's a wall of green, but a very different one that you might used to be seeing over the past few years.
I was going to say, if you said over the last season, I might have questioned it.
No.
You're quite right. Quadrant here to play and only 1 game away now.
And what's the game type?
Is their baby. Just a reminder, if you're watching, maybe for the first time, maybe if you've lived under a rock, Quadrant have not lost this game type this season. They are 16-0, yet to lose strongholds on any map.
There's a very good chance that 16-0 record is the largest and longest modern record of an undefeated game type in the last decade of competitive Halo. Can they keep it up here? Doing so would guarantee a 3-0 win over Optic Gaming.
Legend gets that first kill, and that's going to open the map up for them. So, for Optic, they're going to have to do this probably the hardest way possible. Not just reverse sweeping Quadrant, but also putting an end to that ridiculous record that they find themselves on. Sica last alive will be able to burn the camo. No, he won't. And it looks like they didn't get control of B as well. They do actually flip that, so Quadrant will be scoring early on, but Former gets away with the camo, and it's a way for Optic to get back on this map.
And we know exactly what the comms are for Optic Gaming at this moment. It's play off of Matt. Let Matt do whatever he wants. And he actually gets singled out! An eagle-eyed Camel, he tries to go trippy spot, but they actually pinch him from multiple angles from A as well as long, and they shut down the Optic Camel.
Legend gets one into Lucid as well. They're keeping hold of this AV hold. TriPPPeY trying to flip A. Legend waiting for his perfect moment to strike. Gets 1, 2, 3 into him. A little bit of help comes in, and that's going to be an easy, comfortable reset. As not only are they fighting for B here, you can see Quadrant, but they're also flipping C as well. They just have constant pressure on multiple strongholds, which makes it just so difficult to decide even what you want to do as a team.
B about to flip as well. Should be a trip cap any moment. Look at the composition, of Optic Gaming. All around C. They get first 2 kills to come in. Traded out though, 2 dead for Optic.
Well, look at SLG, he was just waiting, baiting. APG flies in.
Oh
my SLG! That is going to be a long nap for APG. That one's going to hurt, and he's still alive.
Look at when we go to the highlights there. I need to see it. A zoom in on the eyebrow raise because I think SLG even surprised himself with that out BR. They are right now outslaying 15-10. It's a triple cap and it's 78-0.
And TchiK says, you know what, you can have A because we're going to keep collecting those points. Lqgend picks up the kill. He's going to flip A back over now. Lucid gives his position away inside of B. SLG gets another one. Numbers heavily in their favor once more. And oh my goodness, I mean, they get the kills, they get the camo. They're about to cross the 100-point mark. This is just a different level of domination.
TchiK with just absolute clockwork there. Ooh, nice little free nade though, does come in. Makes it difficult for him to make the move. He will stay alive, however. C starts to flip, and guess what? He's gonna rotate right back around.
He's gonna look for that body. And there it is, TriPPPeY, goodbye.
Whoa.
Reset comes in. Just looks so easy for him. Optic can't get on the map. APG is 0-5.
Oh my
it's
God!
just compounding the misery at the moment. That's Lucid. He's just taken down.
What are we watching? This looks like clockwork. Finally, TchiK is taken down. It's 130-0 on a continued BC hold coming in from Quadrant.
SLG again leading the way for kills. They don't want to give him a point. SLG slides in. If he wins this, he'll get the reset. Of course he wins it. Of course he wins it. They get the reset, and Optic cannot get a point.
4 dead. 4 dead for Optic Gaming yet again. It's not just strongholds. They're not just putting objectives on the board. They're outslaying 28-19. There is something about this roster when this game type is up. They are outslaying and outplaying some of the best in the world. They're doing it again.
Oh, Formal finally wins a 1v1 just to give Optic numbers for a second. But here comes the push now from SLG. 2 bodies in front of him. They're going to challenge. APG will get taken down through the trade. And finally, by the looks of things, Optic will score a point. 156 on the board, but Optic at least have one.
SLG is 14-6 at this stage on the game. Nobody else on the other side even breaking 10. Finally, TriPPPeY breaks the 10 mark. But look at the shots from TchiK. Like I said, this looks like clockwork. This looks dangerous from Quadrant.
Going for the triple cap again. Almost trying to play the mid-bridge. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. This is no other way to put this, Andy. It's kind of getting ugly.
This is what we call a case study. If you want to know how to play this game type, you beg the powers that be for video footage of every POV from Quadrant, because this has been unbelievable. It's a double killing spree from TchiK as well, with continued camo control, continued BC hold. It's 181-1.
I mean, it's the worst thing you can do as a commentator to call a game early and call a series early, but with what we've seen so far in this game, you can't blame me for maybe thinking about doing so. B will get flipped here for Optic in just a second, though. SLG tries to get the damage down onto B, but look at the score fly up for Optic. 800% more than they had a few seconds ago.
Only their second hold of the entire game. Luckily, as you say, it's already paid dividends in terms of percentages compared to that first hold. And a little bit even cheers in the crowd from the Optic fans to see some points on the board. But my oh my, do they ever have quite a run they'll need to put together in these next 5 minutes.
You're welcome, by the way, Optic fans. I went for the caster curse just to see if we can get the series keeping it going a little bit longer. But just as they get control, they get 27 points. Hey, surprise, surprise, it's a triple cap again for Quadrant. It's 194 and rising, and even though Optic are inside of C, you know the pressure's going to be coming in a few moments' time.
It's a good nade from TchiK. That one should hit back right battery. Maybe help with the Lucid battle. 2 players though in tower isolates. Lucid actually stays alive in the end, so it will now be BC here for Optic.
TchiK 13-9. SLG 15-10. But APG with a double kill gives Optic a chance now to maybe think about giving Quadrant a little taste of their own medicine here, looking for that triple cap. They're moving towards A, but Quadrant have already prioritized C.
Big credit here to TriPPPeY. As we said, nobody else was on 10+ kills. TriPPPeY's now 16-10. Leading the game in kills off of what has been a great spree from him, and that's why Optic even sees any points on the board. Another camo though for Quadrant. Let's see what else TchiK can do.
Gets spotted out somehow or other. Formal spots him, but TchiK again just keeps him alive. TriPPPeY will get the reset onto B. 2 dead on the side of Quadrant. And finally, it looks like Optic have found their footing in this game, found their pacing in this game. And there is TriPPPeY trying to get Optic going. It's 4 dead here for Quadrant, and this is the chance that Optic need to take.
Certainly getting the Optic Gaming fans in the crowd excited. Another one comes in as well. Can they get reset on B? Should be able to come in, especially based on 3 dead.
Legend last alive.
Oh boy!
He'll go down as well. Well, we saw the bad, we saw the ugly from Optic in this game time so far. It's time to see the good. Triple cap here for Optic at 197. Doesn't look so far away as it did a few moments ago, and Quadrant, they're starting to learn what it feels like to be on the receiving end of this.
And you have to wonder, what does Quadrant do right now? How do they make sure that this run is stopped in its tracks? Let's not forget it was 181-1, and now it's 197-144. This has been a 150-point, nearly unanswered run for Optic Gaming.
And I said it might be the most difficult path that Optic have to go down if they want to get back in this series. Well, they're starting to find their footing here, and they're almost close enough to tie this game up.
AC still in the hands of Optic. This is a big 1v1 here. But neither player decided to continue in the engagement.
20-10 for TriPPPeY. Optic Gaming finally lose the numbers, and that means they will lose A. They weren't able to overtake the Quadrant score, but my God, did they make it close here. It's 202 and rising with the camo coming up in 8 seconds. Optic need this camo. There's no other way to put it.
And here's the question, how will this game be remembered? Is Quadrant just gonna have a walk in the park for your final stretch, or will this be an unforgettable matchup? 3 dead for Optic.
3 dead for Optic just as the camo comes up. Lucid has it. Somehow gets the kill as well. Can Quadrant get the trade? No, they can't. And Lucid can be a problem still. 223 and rising. They have to make the play now though, Optic.
Oh!
He had no choice. He had to jump in a stronghold. He had to do something to take the attention away, and Quadrant just waited. They baited as they move towards a 3-0 series win.
244 on the board.
AB the hold. Optic making a desperate last push, but I don't think it's going to be enough. Lucid inside of A. The fight here might decide it. Lucid wins it, but the reset did come in, so now he has to work again. SLG comes in, TriPPPeY flies in, SLG says, not today, son. And Quadrant, they get the broom out of the main stage here, and they sweep Optic Gaming aside.
Let the record books be updated. 17-0 in strongholds and 3-0 over Optic Gaming on your main stage. They now take the overall series lead in the year as well.
Something feels different about Quadrant this event. The persona, the attitude, the look in their eyes when you saw them on that main stage. It's no longer we're happy to be here. It's we're happy to take a trophy home.
Couldn't agree more. Something different about this Quadrant roster, and I think Optic Gaming themselves and Optic Gaming fans would agree. That was quite a performance there. A lot to be said about Optic Gaming's run there, about 160 points unanswered. Not easy to do, certainly not against Quadrant. But in the end, Quadrant only outslays 63-61, mainly due to that run from Optic. However, your total score 250-181 with a very, very important 1v1 battle, especially SLG's play at A to make sure that everything's cleaned up and the damage is done. They will close the game out in the end comfortably, a 70-point lead.
I mean, you look at the series layout, it's not just a 3-0, Andy, it's a statement 3-0. This is the world champions you're going up against. Yes, they haven't been in the greatest of form at recent events, but 4-1, 50-41, 250-181. At no point did you feel like Quadrant weren't in control of the series. Yep. They always felt like it was theirs.
Yeah, absolutely. And one other thing I have to mention, as we're seeing on the stats here, 12 kill deficit Optic Gaming was actually going up against throughout that game. So Quadrant just totally controlling the mid game and could not be more impressed once again with the late game. I think a Quadrant of old, I think a Quadrant of last season, and an Optic of last season, I think Optic Gaming wins that game. I think this is a different Quadrant. They're here to play.
Well, it feels like something's in the air here. And where are we?
Fort Worth.
Fort Worth. Feels like something's in the air here in Fort Worth. I thought we were in France with how well they were playing.
Can't blame
And we'll have to find out how they're feeling right now, because Sica, as you will call him, Threat Seeker, is down on that main stage now with Blaze.